So usually, either if they make this price here, government subsidizes, or they'll go for the fair return. You're just giving the aggregate supply and aggregate demand analysis. Okay, thank you. All right, next up is price discrimination. All right, remember, price discrimination is the ability to charge consumers what they're willing to pay. So if Bennett wants to pay $20 for something, he'll pay $20. If Isabel's willing to pay $30 for that, she'll pay $30. Okay? And since everyone is paying what they're willing to pay, there is zero consumer surplus in price discrimination. Again, MCO. Well, the demand is the MR and the demand curve become one. It's like a monopoly graph. You just fold that MR, slide it over to demand, they become one. Again, you go to MC equals MR, down to ATC, and that's your profit box. Okay? Now, Q1 is here for a reason. Q1 is what this quantity would be if they were operating a regular monopoly. Notice in price discrimination, they sell more and make more. Okay? So if you can get perfect price discrimination, it's great, but it's very hard to.
Then you said zero consumer
surplus. Which is, and I think I asked that sometimes on Graphing Wednesday, like do this and show me consumer surplus, and it doesn't exist. Okay? Okay? Oligopolies. All right, characteristics. Few large producers, I usually say 10 or under. Identical or differentiated products. High barriers to entry. Again, if you're seeing high barriers to entry, the first thing you can say to yourself is, they can make economic profit in the long run. Control, price maker, and mutual interdependent. So what I do affects what Bennett does if we're oligopolies. Okay, so game strategy or game theory comes in place. So I'm going to give you this, and I'll give you a second to copy game theory down. And I would say game theory has been on the free response 25% of the time. It seems to pop up on the short free response a lot. Okay? So, I want to find out rare air, what they're going to do. So if rare air goes high, and uptown goes high, rare air makes, if rare air goes high and uptown goes high, uptown makes 12. If rare air goes high and uptown goes low, uptown makes 15. So I put just a little check here to say uptown's doing that. Alright, if rare air goes low and uptown goes high, rare air makes 6. Uptown makes 6. If rare air goes low and uptown goes low, uptown makes 8. So no matter what rare air does, it pays for uptown to go low. That's dominant strategy. The dominant strategy is you are going to do this no matter what your competition does. Now, let's look the other way. If uptown goes high and rare air goes high, rare air makes 12. If uptown goes high and rare air goes low, rare air makes 15. Pays for rare air to go low in that situation. Uptown goes low, rare air goes high, uptown makes 6, Rather, rear air makes 6. Rear air goes low. Uptown goes low and rear air goes low. Uptown makes 8. Again, Uptown's dominant strategy is 8. Is low. So both their dominant strategies would be back down here as low. Now, notice if they're both going low, and me and Maddie are in this market both going low, Maddie might call me up and say, hey, if we both set high, what happens? We make more profit. But when you're in this category, you have what they call the incentive to cheat. Because if one of us goes low, the other one's going to make a lot more money, at least temporarily. So usually you get back to here, your dominant strategy. Now, the one thing is, and we don't have it here, Nash's equilibrium is a place where both parties do not have an incentive to cheat, which of it we do have here. We have Nash's equilibrium because neither party could cheat, because if one went high, they would make less money. So anytime, like you see, I have 2 checks in this box, I have a check here and a check here. Anytime you have 2 checks in the same square, that signifies Nash's equilibrium. Okay? So right here you have Nash's equilibrium. There is no incentive for either person to cheat. All right? Okay, monopolistic competition. Relatively large number of sellers. Think of fast food as an example. They differentiate their products. Even though you might not think there's a difference between McDonald's and Burger King, they try to make them seem different. They have some control of the price. Easy to enter and exit. That means 0 economic profit in the long run. And a lot of non-price competition, like advertising. That's why this graph's going to look a lot like. Yeah. Okay. It's going to be exactly like a monopoly graph. Okay. There you go. You find MC equals MR up to demand for the price, and then down for the quantity. Okay. Now, in this situation, here is your profit box, right? I go up to demand. There's my price. Down, drop it for profit, down to the ATC. Here's my profit box. Firms here are going to enter because they're making money. So, if I have Phil's Burger Place and McDonald's comes in, the demand for my burgers is going to decrease. So what happens here is demand shifts down till it touches the ATC, and you have 0 economic profits in the long run. And let's see, do I have that graph coming up? And that, oh, wow. Oh, jeez. It went crazy, but I want to show you that graph. So if they tell you to graph monopolistic competition in the long run, you have to graph 0 economic profit. Let's see, try to get back there. And again, it's a demand shift down, because here, like Burger King and Phil's Burgers are slightly different. So you get there. So that's your long run monopolistic 0 economic profit. Still dead weight loss. Okay? Now, the last touch on monopolistic competition is what they call excess capacity. What would we be producing if we produced at the lowest, at the profit, productively efficient point? So if you take where MC crosses ATC and drop a line down, the gap between where what you're producing Q3 and what you could be producing at productively efficient is called excess capacity. Yeah. If you would take where M is equals to AT, that's productively efficient, right? If you drop a line down to your axes, the gap between, and let's just call that Q4, between Q3 and Q4 is excess capacity. That's what you could have been producing if you were productively efficient. Okay? They like asking that question too. Alright, so an excess capacity, just remember monopolistic, monopoly graph, except in the long run, zero economic profit. That's it, right? I put all the formulas and stuff there right in the last page. Did I put that for you? Yeah.
What's the long run monopoly graph? Like, we didn't see the long, is it the same as
It's pretty much the same because they can make profits in the long run.
Yeah, so demand will shift down or up depending on.
No, monopoly?
Yeah.
No, because it's only one seller, so no incentive to go more. Okay? Any other questions? Okay.
And is that the same for oligopoly? It's the same in the long run?